Welcome to Robbie's Rants. Real people, real stories. Please like and subscribe.
Right, hello everybody, welcome back to the Robbie Rants YouTube channel. I am your host, Robbie Collins, and today we have a very special guest. This guy is all things Hearts. He has a podcast that does TikToks. He grew the Gorgie Boys podcast on YouTube to over 340 subscribers, and on TikTok he has a page called Hearts Enthusiast, in which he's grew to over 7,500 followers. It is Mr. Graeme Duthie. Graeme, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. Thanks for having me on. Are you all right?
Aye, I'm doing well. It's been a bit of a confusing week, to be honest. St Mirren have barely beat a League Two team. There's been a sheep spotted walking about Paisley, so it's been one of the weeks. But no, look, it's a pleasure to have you on. First question, of course, I need to ask is about the new manager, Derek McKinnus. Listen to Benny Beningame, I think was the main one I listened to earlier in the week, and he was sort of speaking about the dressing room atmosphere. Obviously, we know what it's been like at Hearts for the last few managers. How refreshing is it to hear a player coming out and speaking about how good the dressing room atmosphere has been and how much specifically Benny as well has played a part in as opposed to Derek McKinnus?
Absolutely. You can tell by just the way the players are performing. I know it's only a couple of games and stuff against lower league teams, but you can tell how the players have responded to McKinnus. I think most Hearts fans love Benny, and he just talks so well and talks very passionately. For me, this is a sensible appointment about McKinnus. You know, after Critchley got sacked, there was a lot of rumours about who might get it, who could come in. Could it be a foreigner? Could it be potentially Stephen Robinson? But I just think McKinnus made perfect sense. I think when it became clear he was the guy we wanted, I think I was kind of thinking, you know what, that actually is quite a sensible opinion. He's got plenty of experience, done very well at Aberdeen, St Johnstone before that, Kilmarnock obviously. Yes, last season wasn't great for them or us, but it's just a sensible appointment. And every time McKinnus has spoke, whether it's been at his own press conference, whether it's been during pre-season, after the couple of games we've had, he just talks so much sense. Like, I know that people don't often look at managers and what they say, but I just think everything he says just comes across so well. And what I like about McKinnus is the fact that every single time he spoke, he's talked about players needing to get the demands of Hearts. And I don't think we've had that for a while. Didn't really get that under Critchley, I don't think. And he wasn't a bad coach. It just didn't really work out for him. But McKinnus, everything about him just oozes someone that's going to get the best out of these players. And everything he said, I just think has been fantastic. And listening to Benny, I mean, Benny's such a lovable guy anyway. And listening to what he said, it's great to hear. It feels like a togetherness at Hearts just now with the fans and the players as well. And hopefully that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting on McKinnus because I feel like a lot of the fans didn't want him when, you know, the rumour mills were going around with some of the names that were being chucked about. But you look at McKinnus, he's a vastly experienced coach at a couple of clubs. He's gained Kelly at a top 6 in European finish. And we know his tactical style. I mean, just to go into the games then, you start with the Dunfermline game. Obviously, that's the first time you've got to see a Derek McKinnus team in action for Hearts. You were there. How was it seeing McKinnus' tactical style compared to maybe other managers? Because I feel like the last few years, you look at Hearts and maybe Hibs and some of the managers they've had, and you don't see much of a tactical style. The same could be said by Rangers as well. So how was it watching that game, first of all?
The first half hour, I was quite impressed. I thought we played on the front foot as expecting against Dunfermline, no disrespect to them. But at Tynecastle, with that crowd there, I'm expecting us to start on the front foot. And for half an hour, I thought we pressed really well. There was an intensity that I've not seen from Hearts for quite a while. It kind of died off a little bit, kind of after about the first half hour, and we let Dunfermline back into the game. I never really got that back again in momentum. Once Dunfermline equalised in that first half, you think, oh no, surely not. But you could see there was a tactic. We kind of played, it was like a 4-4-2. I think we played a couple of players at position, like two of the new signings, Rosie and McIntyre was playing at right back. I don't really think that worked. Braga, who I really like already, was playing more on the left, but I think he's more a striker. And then kind of halfway through the second half, again, the one thing McKinnus has done very well the first couple of games is used his subs very well. You can see the quality in the squad we've got that I don't really think we had last season. And once we got that first penalty from Alan Forrest, it was pretty comfortable after that. Maybe we could have added to it. But there were definite signs of what McKinnus wants to do. He wants us to play high press. He wants us to get in player teams' faces, especially at Tynecastle. He's talked about it numerous times since he's come in, about teams enjoying it coming out of Tynecastle, and he doesn't want that. So I quite like that, and I think we will, over the course of the next few weeks and months, we will see a far better Hearts there. I've got no doubt about that. We've still got new players to come in as well. Other players are still bedding in, the likes of Braga, McEntee, guys like Birch Grevings and stuff. But I'm definitely seeing something. I think the thing with McKinnus, I've seen a lot of folks say his style of play is not great. I think it's a little bit harsh to say his football's not great. I think he does actually play some decent stuff. I watched him at Aberdeen, watched him at Kilmarnock. He does try and play some decent stuff. At Aberdeen, he won a cup and he had to rebuild every season. At Kilmarnock, let's be honest, we've not got the biggest playing budget, and I think he got the best out of that team. He's now at Hearts, and he's demanding, which I really like, because I don't think managers have done that. Even after the first game against Dunfermline, he wants more. That's what I love. I love hearing that, and I think we will get that.
It is interesting because I think a lot of people just look at his time at Kilmarnock and the tactical style he played there, and look at Tweet for Aberdeen, that no manager ever plays the same at every club. You know, Aberdeen and Kilmarnock, and this is no disrespect to Kilmarnock fans, but Aberdeen are historically a bigger club, hence they've got a bigger playing budget. He can do a bit more with the tactics. When he's at Kilmarnock, you know, he needs to switch to sort of being a bit more defensively cautious. At Hearts, it feels like, and I don't know about you, but it feels like to me, he can go back to being that freedom, you know, playing the attacking styles, using guys like Braga and Shankland up front as well to sort of grab teams by the scruff of the neck and sort of make it hard for them, especially at Tynecastle.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be on the front foot at Tynecastle against everybody, and I include Celtic and Rangers in that. You've got the crowd behind you. You have to be on the front foot, and then that's something that he'll do as well with the new players that he's got. He's going to play, I think, a lot more attacking style. I mean, already he's signed Clyde Braga, who's a striker. He signed Kizaridu to the winger. We've got two more wide players to come in. You've got James Wilson, who started the season well. You've got Elton Kabangu just signed a new deal. Obviously, the big one's Lauren Shankland. And I think that was a saga for months. Nobody knew what was going to happen with that. And I think McKinnus had a lot to do with that. Like, McKinnus came in and he was asked in his press conference about Shankland and Gordon, and he basically said, the very first thing I'm going to do after this is go and talk to them. I think McKinnus has a lot to say in that Lauren Shankland decision, because I don't think, if Critchley was still here or a different manager, I don't think Shankland signs that deal. I think McKinnus has a lot to do with this, the amount of conversations they had. So I'm going to give McKinnus credit for that. So we are trying to get attacking options in, which is going to make us far, far better. Even on Tuesday against Stirling Albion, Hamilton, again, no disrespect to Hamilton, you're starting Wilson and Kabangu, and on the bench, you've got Lauren Shankland, Cledio Braga, and Alexandros Kizaridas. Shankland and Kizaridas didn't even get on. So it shows the strength and depth we've got, plus the two new guys, Saber Kajota and Pierre-Landry Capote to come in. It shows the options we've got going forward now. So I think having that option to change things going forward, which we didn't really have last season, is going to be absolutely huge.
Yeah, and just back on to Benny for a minute. He's quite an interesting character as well. Obviously, he did score a goal against us in pre-season, whether it took a deflection or no. But how important is it, and you've spoke about it a few times on your TikTok, how important is it that players are learning how to shoot? And do you think that's something that Derek McKinnus will be constantly trying to tell these players? Because you look at a couple of times last season where Benny maybe gets himself into a good position, doesn't quite pull the trigger. I know obviously Shankland is a big goal threat. I know against Dunfermline he hit the post before obviously you scored to go 1-0 up. So is it a case of, do you think McKinnus is maybe building a team that will shoot more and will take more risk? Because it's something that I think can always be a good thing, although it can be bad, you know, if you're shooting every shot. I think McKinnus, and I don't know if you'd agree, is maybe try to build a team that does take more risks and, you know, will not just play the easy option all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Spoke about that, you know, playing the safety option, which I know at times you're going to have to do, but midfielders that can actually take shots. You know, you look at the goal that Benny scored against St Mirren, okay, it's massively deflected, but if you don't shoot, you don't score. And it's a running joke with Benny that he just will not shoot. Against Dunfermline last weekend, he had the ball edge of the box and you think everyone's shouting shoot, and he refused to do it. He tried to pass it and gave it away. It's all right having strikers and that, like Shankland and Kabangu and stuff, that can score, but you need other players to step up. You need someone like Benny he can drive forward. We've seen that numerous times. He can drive forward, but he just doesn't seem to have the confidence to have a go at goal. And I think during pre-season, that I saw some of the videos in that during pre-season, and Benny was actually taking more shots. And I hope that we're going to do that. You need midfielders that are actually going to take a chance and score. Even if you look at the game against in Europe, where Cammy Devlin last season scored 2 goals. Now, they weren't particularly great goals, but the second goal's a deflected shot because he takes a shot. You never know what's going to happen. If you take a shot, something can go in for you. So I think Derek McKinnus does want to have more players taking shots. And I think we will hopefully score a lot more goals this season. If midfielders are going to take shots, you've got a massive opportunity. And I really hope that Benny is going to start doing that because he's such a good footballer. In every aspect, he's good on the ball, he's composed, he can drive forward, he can pass it. It's just that little bit that's just lacking. If he can just start taking shots at goal, he's such a good player.
I think when you're looking at the rest of the league, and of course, against Celtic and Rangers, and you'd maybe include Aberdeen and Hibs in that conversation, you're less likely to take a shot because it is such a tight game and you need to take every chance as it comes. But against these lower sort of sides, if you will, in the Premiership, the Kilmarnock, St Mirren's, teams like that, I think it is important that you take shots and take risks because you will get a lot of chances in these games, especially if your Hearts and especially if it's at Tynecastle. Moving on to the second game you've played then, a 4-0 win over Hamilton, 4 goals, a clean sheet. A player I need to touch on, you mentioned him a couple of minutes ago, is Braga. I've still not got to see him play, but for everywhere I've read online, this guy looks like he could be the real deal coming into the season. He looks such an energetic player on the ball and after the ball. He's getting all the praise, Graeme. Is he actually turning out to be that good, as I'm hearing?
I do this so often to myself where I start overhyping someone and don't end up that good, but I don't get that feeling with Braga. He looks an absolutely fantastic player. Like, first game, he was always to try to get up to speed with the Scottish game. He got caught a couple of times, but he was still trying things. He was coming for the ball. His work rate was fantastic. And you think, right, there's a lot to learn. He's still learning the game. And then he comes off the bench on Tuesday and he just lit the place up. Like, we were 2-0 up at the time, but I thought for the first 20 minutes of the second half, it was quite flat. We made 4 subs, including Braga. And he changed the atmosphere around the stadium with the Hearts fans. He was so impressive. He was taking people on. He was getting the ball in the half turn. He was driving at folk. He makes the third goal for Wilson. Great drive and run. Ball across the box. Wilson scores. And then again, I'm talking about taking shots. Harry Milne pulls it back. Okay, it's deflected, but he takes the shot. For a 25-minute cameo, he was so impressive. Little flicks and tricks. In the second half, he had the ball in his own half. He flicked the ball over the Hamilton player, ran onto it and drove forward. Didn't come into him, but that kind of thing I love seeing. He's going to try things. He's going to be entertaining. Hearts fans are going to love him. He's going to frustrate as well because things might not come off. But he looks a real handful. I hope he plays more up front than plays out wide because I don't really think he's suited to the wide area. But certainly from what I've seen so far, he's got pace as well, which Hearts have lacked for so long since Jarelli left. He is going to be someone that's going to entertain. And Derek McKinnus described him as a Labrador. His work rate, I know that should be a given, but it's not always. You can see some players and think, you're not really trying. But honestly, the amount of times on Tuesday, even for 25 minutes, that he won the ball back, he was so good. I think he's going to be, I don't overhype it, but I genuinely think he could be one of the signings of the season for us. I think he's going to be that good.
I'm excited to watch him play. I can remember when, specifically last season, Gerald Taylor came in, the hype that was sort of building around him, especially after that Rangers game, and obviously that didn't quite work out, but this looks like a guy that could actually light up the league, and I'm excited to watch him play. You've obviously won the 2 games, scored 8 goals, only conceded 1, against arguably the 2 hardest teams in the group. You're now looking ahead to Stirling Albion away and Dumbarton at home. Is there many changes you're expecting to see from McKinnus? Do you expect him to experiment a bit more, considering realistically the hardest 2 games are out of the way now in the group and you'll probably score more goals and sail through to the next round?
Well, I kind of thought we'd make changes on Tuesday, but I didn't expect 7. And what actually quite impressed me the most is, and it shows how much he rates James Wilson. Wilson was one of the only 4 that started against Dunfermline that started on Tuesday. He clearly likes James Wilson, and I do hope he gets a chance. It's going to be difficult because you've got Shankland, you've got Braga, and you've got Kabangu. And one of the new guys, Pierre Kabore, 22 goals in 22 games in Estonia. Maybe not a great league, but he can play wide and up front. So again, it's options, but I really like James Wilson. I think he could go all the way to the top. But I do think we'll probably make a few more changes. He wants to try and rotate the squad. And these are games to do it. Again, I don't want to say no disrespect to Stirling Albion and Dumbarton, but these are games that Hearts again should win comfortably. Fourth bank, won't be easy. I think Stirling will be very defensive, but I'm expecting probably another 5 or 6 changes. I think Jan Dander could come in for his first start. Musa Drami might come in for his first start as well. So there are probably changes that I think we probably will make. The one player, and again, I know it was only Hamilton, the one player I thought was really good on Tuesday was Stuart Finlay. He's such a good defender, really composed, really quick, obviously scored as well. We've got a threat from set pieces now as well, which I think we've lacked for a while. We've scored against Dunfermline from a set piece from Kingsley, and on Tuesday from a set piece. So I think we'll be pretty decent from set pieces this season as well, which is something we've lacked for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it is such an important part of the Scottish game. You look at last season, I remember when we played Kilmarnock a few times under McKinnus, and he does utilise set pieces to his advantage. He loves the big, strong guys in the box that will cause teams problem. It's something that Hearts can maybe look to take advantage of going into the season. I know specifically against us, and I love Robinson for everything he's done. The one criticism I don't really like with what I see for us is probably the set piece play. I don't like our set pieces, so if McKinnus can get that right at Hearts and use guys like Finlay and whoever else in the box, it can be a real big weapon, especially against another team, Celtic. One thing I've always criticised Celtic on, in my opinion, is their set piece play. I don't think they defend set pieces well or attack with them. So if you're playing against teams like Celtic and Rangers, it will be majorly important that you use set pieces to your advantage to try and get these goals.
Yeah, I mean, it's finding different ways to win. And if you need to use set pieces to do it, then why not do it? It's something that's frustrated me for a long time, not just about Hearts, but a lot of teams. When players can't beat the first man from a set piece, that should be an instant fine for me, because it really annoys me. Hearts haven't scored a lot of goals from set pieces. We now have a set piece coach, which I thought was a little bit daft. What do you need that for? But listen, if it's going to work, then fine. And we've got plenty of height there. You've got Finlay. You've got Pierre Cabori when he comes in, who's quite tall as well. You've got Frankie Kent. You've got Craig Halkett. You've got Stephen Kingsley. You've got a lot of height in there. So you've got a chance to use it and a chance to utilise it. So if you're not finding a way through teams, set pieces might be a good thing to use if you've got it. Why not?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, you're looking then at transfers that Hearts have made getting into the season. There's obviously 2 more. You mentioned Pierre Cabon and Sabah Kerjota, who look like they're going to be coming into the club on top of this 5 or 6 signings you've already made, which I think includes Cabangu and Shankland coming back into the club. If these 2 come in, how much more business do you think Hearts will need to be ideal? Because I think, am I right in saying that'll be a squad of about 32, 33 players at that point? So is there any more business you like to see, at least inwards? Because I know you spoke about some outward players, but is there any more transfers you think Hearts would need to come in?
I think the one thing that we're still lacking is our creative midfielder. I've talked about midfielders that don't shoot. I think we need that midfielder that can get on the ball, can be a proper playmaker, can make passes, can break through the lines. I don't really think we've got that. Now, you're looking at maybe Jan Dander could potentially do that. How many games is he going to get? I don't know. Blair Spittle, again, could do that job. I thought he was fine on Tuesday. Had a couple of pots at goal. We know what he's capable of. But can we get better? I think we can. We've got the money there. You've got Tony Bloom investment there. You've got money there. I think a creative midfielder is the one thing we're lacking. Apart from that, I'm pretty happy. I think the squad's very, very good. It's quite strong. It is a squad of 30 just now until these other 2 guys come in. We're going to have to get players at the door. That squad is not sustainable. You need to get the squad down to probably about 24, 25, which is manageable. But if we can get a creative midfielder in after we bring these other 2 guys in, I think I'll be quite happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about outgoings there. Obviously, the big one this summer's been James Penrose. Went for a fee about £2 million, I think it was reported. I mean, first of all, James himself, that's a life-changing move for him and his family. I mean, going over to play some top-class football in a really big, reputable league. But for Hearts, I mean, getting a fee of that, amount of money through the door, how good is that for you guys? Not just for the now, but for the long term as well. That's a player. Now, we've had you selling a guy for £2 million, Hibs spending £2 million on 2 different players. How good is it to see different teams in the league, no matter if it's Hibs or anybody else, but how good is it been to see these teams spending and making that sort of money?
It is great because you're looking at Celtic and Rangers are the two teams that always spend the money and sell players. It's actually nice for other teams to do it. And on James Penrose, it's a great move for him. The fact we got him for nothing and sold him for £2 million plus add-ons after one season is fantastic. And Greece is a really good move for him. You know, AEK Athens are a decent side. I think he'll do very well there. He'll start, I'd imagine, most games. But he was, and what was a really poor season for Hearts last season, he was the one shining light. His creativity on that left-hand side, the link up with Blair Spittle, his assists, I think he actually didn't get as many as I thought he might have done, but he's such a good footballer. Very, very composed on that left-hand side. He's quick as well. It's a great move for him, but it's a great move for us. We get money for a guy that we got for nothing. Hopefully we can add that into the squad. I think it suits both parties. And I wish Penrose nothing but the best because for one season, he was fantastic. I knew he was good because I've seen him play before. I didn't realise how good he was till you watch him up close. He's such a good player. And wish him nothing but the best. I hope he does very well. I'm sure he will.
Aye, and just getting into the actual season itself, obviously you start off against Aberdeen at home. And before we actually get into the fixtures, I want to touch a bit on Hearts' season overall because you're getting into a season where, yes, if you ask any Hearts fan, you love European football right now. I think you've got the squad for it certainly now. I think you've got a lot of depth, which maybe you didn't have last time when you were getting into it. In terms of the overall season, how confident are you that Hearts can get back to third place? Because you look at teams like Hibs and Aberdeen and even Dundee United who are getting into Europe, and historically, let's be honest, Graeme, teams have never really coped well with the Wednesday, Sunday football. So for Hearts to have this bigger squad, don't have European football, how optimistic are you that Hearts can rise back into third place?
This is where I think we've got a bit of a good thing here. I mean, I love European football. I think most Hearts fans do. But playing Thursday, Sunday is an absolute killer. Like, we didn't win a game after Europe in the league. It's very hard to do, and I think Aberdeen will find that out. Hibs, I don't really think they'll get too far because Midtjylland are a really good side. They were a Champions League side, but they still drop into the Conference League anyway. But I think we've got the upper hand because of the fact we don't have Europe. Now, yes, Premier Sports Cup, a lot of folks say it's still a pre-season. It is, but it's competitive. It's a cup you want to try and win. It's a cup that Hearts have not won for a long, long time. So we do have a bit of a good thing here. And the Premier Sports Cup builds momentum. Look at Aberdeen. Jimmy Thielen came in. He won all these Premier Sports Cup games, as you'd expect. And they went on a really good run in the league. So I think it builds momentum. Confident at third. I don't know if I'm confident, but I'm optimistic. I think there's absolutely no doubt we've got a very good squad. We've got the right manager in for me. I think we can get off to a good start in the league. Even better. Aberdeen's not won at Tynecastle since 2017. Hopefully that continues. It's a difficult start. Playing Aberdeen and playing Dundee United away. Very tough first couple of games. But there's no reason Hearts can't go there, both games with confidence. I think we've got a very good chance of getting third. I really do. And come January, we've also got, hopefully, Islam Chesnikov, a Kazakhstan winger, coming in who looks very, very exciting. We were trying to get him in now, but his club don't want to let him go because they're in a title race. But with the squad we've got, the manager we've got, I am very optimistic that we can have a really good run for third place.
I mean, you're looking at that opening game in Aberdeen at home. You know, you bring up the record there about Aberdeen's record at Tynecastle. It's still going to be a tough game regardless. The one thing I would say probably plays into Hearts' hands a bit more is the fact that it's at home, but also the fact that Aberdeen, I don't think, are going to have played a competitive game by that point. I think they're going to qualifiers a bit later on. So you're looking at that game, an optimistic start from McKinnus on a Monday night. How excited are you to see this, and how do you think this start will go?
To be honest, I'm just glad the football's back. I've been bored out of my mind this last few weeks, months. I'm just glad it's back, even if it's Premier Sports Cup. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. The only thing I would say is, though, I think you've got the first games of the Premiership the weekend of the 2nd of August, and there's only one game kicking off at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. You know, it's exciting times. I think every game should be, the very first game should be the same weekend on a Saturday. But Monday night under the lights at Tynecastle, 8 o'clock kickoff, live on Sky, against one of Derek McKinnus' old teams. It's going to be a fantastic atmosphere. It really will be a fantastic atmosphere. And I think Hearts will be up for it. There is no doubt McKinnus will have these players up for it. They'll be looking forward to it. I'm intrigued to see what kind of team we're going to play, because right now I generally couldn't tell what the team's going to be. But I can't wait. I just want the season back, the league season anyway. I think I'm buzzing for it.
Aye, and you look ahead to the 4 games after that, as you already mentioned: Dundee United away, Motherwell at home, Livingston away, and then Rangers away. You've got 3 away games out of the first 5 games. It's no, although the first couple you're looking at and going, right, we'll probably could pick up 6 points here. Overall, in the balance of things, it's not an easy first 5 games for Hearts.
It's not, and you don't know what to expect with any of these teams. Liverpool are just back up. You don't know what to expect from David Martindale. Again, Motherwell have just got a new manager in. They've got a lot of new players as well. You don't know how they're going to gel. And of course, Ibrox is never easy. And Hearts have not beat Rangers for a long, long time. So yeah, it's not going to be an easy start. It'll be very difficult. But as I say, with the squad we've got and the manager we've got and the way I think we want to try and play on the front foot, I think Hearts can get potentially 10 out of 15 points from those first 5 games, which I don't think is a bad start. If you look at last season, it took us a while to get our first win. So I think if we can get 10 out of 15 in the first 5 games, I don't think that's a bad start.
I think that'll be a very good start. You're looking at us and being able to travel to Celtic away, so that's arguably going to be a fun start. But I think Hearts do have a start that could provide optimism. I mean, if Hearts win the first 2 games, you're on an absolute roll straight away. I was actually intrigued the first time you play us, because that is going to be an interesting game. It is the 29th of October at a 1:45 kick-off in Paisley, so that'll be an interesting game. But one more thing to speak about with the fixtures is obviously your old rivals, Hibs. They are obviously going to be playing in qualifiers. Whether they get through or not, it's a tougher test. But them getting into their league, obviously first derby is, I'm led to believe, the 4th of October at Tynecastle. How are you feeling this season about playing Hibs? One of the big things that we spoke about, obviously, at points last season as well, was that record versus Hibs, and it wasn't the best. Are you confident that Derek McKinnus can turn that around this season and get a couple of wins at Hibs this year?
I've been brought up with Hearts being the far better team over Hibs and winning plenty of derby games. Last season, it was difficult. We lost 2 and drew 1. And to be honest, I'm always honest, whatever I do, whatever I say. Hibs were the far better side in all those games last season. We didn't deserve to get anything out of those games. The one at Easter Road, the first game, the 1-1 draw with James Wilson, I think we're great, but we take the draw. But the other 2 games, Hibs were the better team. But these derby games are never about who's the better team. It's just winning the games, but they were the better team and deserved to win both of those. I think, listening to Derek McKinnus already, he was asked straight away about the derby game, and he is looking forward to it. And he actually said, when the fixtures came out, the first thing he looked for was a derby. So he is going to have Hearts up for this. I think at times last season, I didn't feel we were quite up for these games, which is unforgivable for me. You can lose a derby, but to not be up for it is something that I will never, ever understand. But I think that will change. Absolutely, the mentality will change this season. Hibs have signed well. I think Josh Mullins is a good, decent player. The new striker they've got, again, I don't know much about the Swiss league, but spending £1 million on a player, he looks quite a handful. So it'll be difficult, but being at Tynecastle, the crowd will be really up for it. I think there's a very good chance that Hearts can turn that double record round. Last season, let's say, wasn't good enough. But with Derek McKinnus there, he knows what the derby games mean. I think we'll be a far, far better side in these games next season.
I hope so. I've actually see it be entertaining, as much as I've got pals for each side of Edinburgh. I've got Hearts mates, I've got a couple of Hibs boys as well. So it's always interesting when it comes around to that sort of time, because you're speaking to Hibs fans before the season starts as well, and they're very optimistic, and as they should be. They're spending the big money, bringing in the sort of players that they're bringing in. It's something that we're not really used to seeing, so I suppose they're up for it as well. But there's no reason why Hearts shouldn't be. I mean, let's for instance say that Hibs somehow they get past Midtjylland and they get themselves into Europe group stages until December. That could maybe play an impact in the season as well, specifically the derbies, because they will need to play Wednesday, Sunday football. So I suppose it does all depend on how these sort of things shape up. Before I ask you a couple of questions for a couple of comments ago, the cup runs this year for Hearts, how important is it that McKinnus has a couple of good cup runs? You look at the League Cup, it's obviously been a good start. You'll most likely go into round 2. It would take a big fall off now for that not to happen. But you're looking at this and the Scottish Cup. Is there anyone that you'll specifically get your eye on to try and win? Because there does always seem to be one of these competitions where Celtic and Rangers notoriously don't do very well. So as a Hearts fan, are you looking at one of these and going, we can maybe try and get something on here? Of course, there is a big luck of the draw depending on who you get.
obviously the Scottish Cup's the one you look at. The Scottish Cup's the one you want to win, but I want to win the League Cup because I've never seen us do it yet. It's been a long, long time, and it's not that we've not had chances. You know, I've talked about it on TikTok and stuff before. It still haunts me against your team in 2013. If Michael and Gu and John Sutton could have shoot properly, we could have won that game, but that still frustrates me to this day. And we have our chances to win it, but we've never got over the line. Of course, the Scottish Cup's the one you want. You want to win that. We did okay last season, getting to the semi-final. You know, once Michael Steinway gets sent off, the game gets away from us and Aberdeen win the game in extra time. And of course, seeing Aberdeen then win the Cup makes it even worse. But it would be great if we could get a run. And if Derek McKinnus could win a trophy in his first season, that would be absolutely fantastic. And again, it's something that he's wanting. He's talked about that already, about winning a trophy. That's what he wants to do at Hearts. And there's no reason with the team that we've got that we couldn't do it. But like you said, it's the luck of the draw. It's very rare that you win a cup without having to play one of Celtic or Rangers. If you can do that, fantastic. But I would love to win the League Cup just to say, actually, what to say, I've seen us winning it. Because I've seen us win the Scottish Cup 3 times, but I've never seen us win the League Cup. So I want to try and win that.
The nightmares of 2013 must still live in the heat.
Oh, mate, it still annoys me to this day.
You know what? I don't even remember the game that much because I was still a young guy. I just remember beating Celtic, but and actually feeling pretty confident ahead of the Hearts game because you sort of have knocked out the favourite for the competition, if you will. But you actually gave us a closer game than Celtic arguably did on the day. So I think Hearts will get far in the Cup. I mean, I thought last season would have been the team to do it as well. I know if they put us out, I think it was Dundee at home, Hearts ended up getting. I mean, that was a good chance at a cup run. Obviously, go to Hampden, didn't quite go well, but you're looking ahead to the season and it's a big squad. It's a squad, I think, with a lot of players that can do damage against teams, not just, you know, teams in around the top 6, bottom 6. I think the one thing Derek McKinnus has done well is he's built a team that can take on any of the top dogs. You know, I don't think any team coming Tynecastle, you know, you shouldn't fear anybody, especially if it's Celtic and Rangers. I don't think there should be a fear button or, you know, there shouldn't be any of that stuff. I think Hearts should be optimistic that you are one of the biggest teams in Scotland. You can go and take these guys for a game and give them a good game. Yeah,
we absolutely should. There is no doubt about that. We absolutely should. And I think Derek McKinnus gets that. And you look at Rugby Park, for example, it was never easy to go to under McKinnus. You know, Celtic and Rangers did not find that easy. Not many teams did. Coming to Tynecastle, hopefully, will be a far different occasion for these teams coming to Tynecastle. I think too often we play Celtic and Rangers and been a little bit, I think we've been a little bit scared, a little bit tepid. We won't have that under McKinnus. I think we'll be far, far more in their faces. There was a couple of games last season, actually, against Celtic at Tynecastle. I thought we actually started the games quite well. But the one thing you've got to do against these teams, if you get chances, you've got to take them. You can't afford to miss good opportunities. We missed a couple of big ones against Rangers and Celtic last season, ended up losing the games. But I think this squad, it's definitely a squad that I don't think will have any fear about playing Celtic Rangers at Tynecastle, which is something I want to see. Because, again, the years I've followed Hearts, too many times we've gone into these games thinking we're going to get beat, which is wrong mentality. You've got to go out there and thinking you can win these games. So there's no point in being there. I think Derek McKinnus is drumming out the players. You can win this. You can absolutely win this. Like, I remember under George Burley, which is probably one of the best Hearts sides I've seen, George Burley would barely even do tactics on any team. He would just say, they're crap, you'll win. And more than likely we did. That's what I want to see. I want that mentality. Just go out there and win. Whoever you're playing is, just go out there and win. And I think we do have the players that can do that. You know, these new players, I've talked about Claudio Braga, but these new players are coming in with no real knowledge of Celtic and Rangers or that. I just think they'll just go for it. And that's what I want to see.
That reminds me, there's an open goal clip. I can't remember who it is. It might have been like Halliday or something was playing with Rangers, or I think it might have been a Celtic player. And I think it was a Celtic player. I think it was Lennon, that they were playing a really good Champions League team. And Lennon told the guy to mark, I think it was either Ronaldinho or somebody of that calibre. It was somebody really good. And it says, he's rubbish, just go and mark him. And the guy just absolutely spun him rings for the full 90 minutes. But, you know, that's the type of stuff you need as a manager. You know, you need a manager to make the players believe that they can beat anybody on their day, because I think Hearts can. I don't think it's too unrealistic to say Hearts can go toe-to-toe with Celtic and Rangers at Tynecastle. To be honest, even Celtic Park and Ibrox as well, though it's a bit of a different calibre of a game, I still think you should have enough belief in yourself to go to these grounds and not be feared of playing these type of teams. But Graeme, thank you so much for coming on. Just one more question. This was from Off the Underside. He asked, Graeme, what is your ultimate five-a-side team of the best Hearts players you've seen in your lifetime?
It's a really hard one. I think goalkeeper, I have to go Craig Gordon. I mean, I was brought up with Henry Smith, who was a great goalkeeper, but I think for me, Craig Gordon's the best I've seen. I think probably defensively, I actually think until he got injured, Craig Levein was a brilliant defender. We've had good defenders as well, like Marius Lucas was a brilliant defender as well. We've had a lot, Alan McLaren. But I'd probably have to go Craig Levein. Further forward is difficult because there's probably players I should have in this. Rudy Scatchell has to be in there. Like, there is no debate in my mind that Rudy Scatchell's got to be in there. His birthday today, what a legend. 1 year younger than me. But 48 goals, 109 games. 2 goals. A goal in a cup final against Gretna. 2 goals in a cup final against Tibbs. He has to be in there. And then I'd probably go with a front two. John Robertson. Best touch striker in my lifetime. What a hero he is. And then I have to say Lawrence Shankland. Like, the best striker since John Robertson has to be Lawrence Shankland. 70 goals in 138 games, I think it is now, for Hearts. So that's probably the team that I'll go with. But there's players that I've missed out that probably should be in there.
God, imagine a front two of Robertson and Shetland these days, man. That would give you a good return ratio, I think. But Graeme, again, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you?
I am on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. You'll find my username at Graeme with a load of numbers on it. And then I'm on TikTok as Hearts Enthusiast.
Aye, and I'd encourage anybody to go and watch Graeme's lives, because you do lives quite often. Also go and give the Goggy Boys podcast a subscribe on YouTube. I know you were live just before the Hamilton game, so make sure to go and give that a subscribe as well. Try and get that up to 400 subscribers. Not too far off now, but again, thanks so much for coming on. We will be back tomorrow with Off the Underside. Jamie from Off the Underside will be coming on, so can't wait to sit down and speak to him. And we will catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye.